Thank you for joining me today in this demonstration of the brand new expert advisor called Correlation Squeeze. If you've been following our YouTube channel, you'll notice that we've been focusing a lot on these correlation strategies. One was in Market Crusher. We released the one called Lazy Trader, and now we have something with a little bit more sophistication with correlation, because we've actually removed the moving average that we were using before. And before we were using a moving average where if one symbol was on one side of the moving average and the other one was on the other and there was a gap between the two, we would take a trade to close the gap. What we've created now is we actually created an indicator with an overlay indicator built into the expert advisor. As you can see on the screen right here, we have the the Euro USD on the yellow and red bars. That is the chart that we attach the EA to. And we have in the settings the British pound versus the USD, and that is represented by the overlay lines of the blue lines here. So what we're looking for is a trade when we have a specific gap between the two correlated symbols, and we're using Euro USD and British Pound USD as the two correlated symbols. And as you could see with the indicator, with correlation, you'll see that it actually likes to come together. Just look back here a little bit here. Let me move this thing. Hold on a second. All right. If you look over here, you'll see how the blue line likes to touch the bars. When you'll notice that the blue line separates from the bars, we got a gap going on. And so logic will tell us that it's going to return back to that, back together. So what we did here is I adjusted the settings to a 50 pip gap. And if you notice, this is a live trade right here. You just measure the gap right here, and you'll see that it is 57 pips, right? So it opened up a trade immediately. If I had this gap around 100 pips, it would not open a trade, and I'll go into the settings in just a few minutes. I'm also running a back test simultaneously right now, so you guys can get a see. You guys could see exactly how it trades. If you notice here, even in the back test, you'll see the correlating indicator will appear on the chart, so you could see exactly how this thing trades, so you can get an understanding of this strategy. And as you can see, here's a gap right here. Euro USD opened a buy trade right here in direction of the British pound. And if you open up here, you'll see also the British pound opened up a trade as a sell. Where was that one? Just so we could see here. Okay, we're looking at on January 31st, right? Let's look at January 31st here. And you'll see that the British pound opened up a sell. Now, obviously, you'll see that the British pound lost here, but what we'll notice here is that the Euro USD overtook the loss of the British pound and closed in profit. So if you look at the history, you'll see on that trade, you go back here, you'll see that the history will tell you that what the gap was when it opened a trade. It opened up at 50.2 pips, the gap. It opened up additional trades as the Euro USD was winning. It added to the Euro USD position until it overtook the loss of the British pound. Now, obviously, if both of them were coming together, it would close in profit very quickly. But usually what happens with these systems is one trade will start to lose and the other one will start to win. And so what we're doing is we're adding to the position of the winning symbol until it overtakes the losing symbol and closes out in profit. Let's let this thing run a little bit longer. See how it trades. Trades extremely well. Recommended minimum gap settings are 50 to 100 pips. In the default setting, I haven't decided yet if it's going to be 50 or 100. I might leave it at 100 because I have already back tested this since 2015 on multiple symbols, and I've noticed that it survives a very long back test with 100 pips. Many of you are going to be aggravated because 100 pips isn't going to open up a trade every day. So I told you that in the settings, if you lower it down to 50, you're going to see more trades. And you'll see that in the settings. I'm going to explain it in just a moment here. But let's see how this thing looks here now. We're looking at this live position here, and you'll notice that it's in a small profit. And what you can do is use this close all button too if you don't want to wait for it to catch up to the blue line. You can literally even trade one symbol at a time, two symbols. You can trade either symbol or both symbols. I'll tell you how to do this. All right. Hope everybody is following me here. Let's open up these settings. I tried to make these settings as easy as possible. I will not be available online as much as I used to be, so I want to make sure that the videos here will explain everything. Okay, you'll notice that the second symbol, you're going to add one symbol here. You're going to attach the EA to one chart, one symbol on the 15-minute time frame, and then you're going to put in here. And you're also going to need to add your suffix here. Okay, we don't have an auto suffix on this particular Expert Advisor, so you'll need to put in your suffix if you have one. Okay, that's very important. So if you're using a .a or whatever, you're going to need to put that in there. I'm using GBP USD, and we have here choose symbol to trade. I have both symbols. We're trading both symbols. Now you could make a trade for symbol 1 or symbol 2. If you do that, you'll want to scroll down to where it says here open additional winning or losing symbol. Right now I'm using winning. Winning works well when you're using open both symbols because it's going to hedge, right? It's kind of like not really a hedge, but it's like hedge. But you're going to have a winning. So it's going to winning just means that it's going to add to your winning position. If it's losing, it ain't going to add any more trades. It's going to stop opening at multiple positions. Think of them kind of like grids, but not grids. They're opening up by a delay. It's kind of like a grid, a delay grid, right? So you have lossing. If you're using one symbol instead of opening up one symbol at a time, you'll probably want to choose lossing. Or we have other types of entries. We have hedge only lossing trade. We have hedge lossing trade, add same trade on winning. In other words, it's going to open up buys and sells on both symbols, whether it's winning or losing. That works very well too. I'm just not using that. I'm just using a very straightforward logic, winning. In other words, if the symbol is winning, we add to the position until it overtakes the losing symbol. Okay. I hope you grasped that. Okay. Now let's look at the rest of the settings. We have invert logic. Okay. False means that it's going to open up a trade in the direction of the gap. So if British pound is above, if British pound price is above the Euro USD, British pound will open sells, Euro USD will open up buys. If you put this on true, it's going to open up reverse. It's going to open up, if it's above, it's going to open up buys. If it's below, it's going to open up sells. So it's going to look for the gap to expand. How do you use that? There's actually a really good way to use that. If you were to set that to true, you're going to want to set the minimum gap settings here. As you can see here, the minimum gap recommended when we're using false is 50 to 100. You'll want to switch this to like 1, and then the maximum gap, you'll switch it to 2. So when they come together, you could literally trade when they, expand, when they go back out, because they will. They'll eventually branch back out away from each other, and you could trade reverse correlation gap. That's how that would work. I hope you understand what I just said, because I'm trying to answer everybody's questions in these videos. Obviously, I could demonstrate every single one of these strategies, but I'm right now trading only the one in the default settings. But there are going to be times when I'll probably use this particular setting because it actually works really well too. Okay, distance between multiple positions. We have stagnant minimum distance. What that means is we have a really tight, kind of like a grid between the last position. So in other words, if it's winning, every 5 pips will open up a new position until it closes a profit. It's quite aggressive. It does work very well. So you got to watch this thing. And you can even trade nights. You can even use this as a night scalper by changing the time here from 1 daily start time to 23. Very easy to do, and it will work, especially if you're using like maybe the 5-minute time frame and you want to use invert true, invert logic true, and then minimum gap 1, maximum gap 2, and night scalp. Works very well. I've tested it very well. Then you have your your lot settings here. Fixed lot, just going to trade whatever you have here, and max lot here. Keep these the same unless you want to use the lot multiplier. The lot multiplier will increase your lot size up to the max lot size. Okay. If you choose auto lot sizing, it will literally, go per balance, right? So you have 0.01 for every $1,000 balance, and you can adjust that. The closed trade setting, right now we're closing at 20 pips, which is actually 200 points. So we have equity points profit. When it reaches equity points profit at 200 points or 20 pips, it will go ahead and close the trades. It does not work with FIFO. I mean, it doesn't work with they're non-FIFO. Okay, so it doesn't work with Owanda, where we have U.S. accounts where they have to close by first in, first out. This robot will not work on those type accounts. And minimum profit points here. You have you can even squeeze the gap to close trade. You can literally set it to, let's say you have it at 100 pips gap. You can set it to close at 50 pips. So when the gap closes up to 50, you could literally set this to 50 if you have the minimum gap at 100. And so when it goes from 100 and squeezes down to 50 pips distance, it'll close the trade. You could do that. And then you could click minimum profit points to close squeeze gap. So I have it set to 200 because I don't want to take anything less than 200 points right now, but you can adjust that as well. Then you got an equity points loss. If you want to know if there's a stop loss, there is an equity points loss feature here if you want to experiment with that. Open new trades on delay. Here we go. We have the next initial trade after bars says 0, so it's automatically going to open up an additional trade if the logic says so. X minutes stagnant delay or delay, then open symbols. We have 10 minutes delay between each trade, so we have every 10 minutes it's going to look to see if it can open a trade, and right now we're at 5 pips. So if it's moved 5 pips or more and we have 10 minutes have gone by, it will open up another one if it's in a winning trend for that particular symbol. Okay, I hope you're all following me here. Max stagnant trades per symbol. I have it pretty aggressive at 100. If you want to reduce the number of trades that you're opening so you don't open up too many and blow your account out, you can reduce that number to what you like. Do some back testing. I have it at 100. I'm all in. Okay. Use gap logic as filter and stagnant trade. What this will do is, instead of just opening up by delay, if you put this to true, it'll wait for it to be at the gap distance to open up a trade. Okay, that's another one that you can use and test with. Now the rest of it is easy. It's just the time and day settings. We have the GMT offset. Keep that at 3 until we tell you in the group, because we'll have a Telegram group and we'll announce if we need to change that. But right now it's 3. We have the daily start time and hour and minutes, and we have the days. Okay, so if you take a look here, we did a quick back test from January to May. We used in the back test pretty much all the default settings. Just used Euro USD, British Pound USD, and a 50 minimum gap. And that's what the graph looked like. We had a little drawdown here, but it snapped back, and that's what the EA can do. And if you notice here, we have the live trade graph here open. Let's take a look at that. If you'll notice here, it opened up a second position as it was winning. And if you notice, we have 5 gaps, 5 pips probably between the two. Yep. So it opened up another one, 5 pips above. So it's opening. It's kind of like a grid in a way. But it's opening up grids as it's winning. So it opens up. It adds to the winning side. Now if we load the British pound chart, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at this. And if we notice, the British pound also opened up two positions because it's closing the gap here, right? If you look at it carefully. The Euro USD is actually losing because it was winning. It opened up an additional position. Now the British pound is winning, so it's going to keep opening up on the winning side, right? Now let's take a look at where the toolbox is here. We're looking at, you'll notice here, if you sort it by symbol, the euro is losing and the pound, British pound, is winning, right? And this will work itself out and work itself into profit, just like you see here in the backtest, okay? I hope this video answers nearly all of your questions. You can message me in Telegram. Please be patient. I don't check Telegram every day. It may be a couple days for me to get back to you, but I'm going to open up a group for everybody to enjoy and share settings and dig into this new Expert Advisor, and I hope everybody makes a fortune with it. Thank you and have a great day.